Hi, Dr. Jen here. Today I'm excited to share some of the research behind the Umbrella Project metaphor to help you best run the program in your classroom. There's promise in teaching adolescents ways in which they can be aware of situations that are challenging and how they can offer themselves kindness in these situations. In particular, it would seem that helping females recognize that their suffering is part of their growth process and that it is highly prevalent among adolescent females could help decrease stress, sense of isolation, and engender self-compassion and self-care. Such a program could, therefore, contribute to alleviating the emotional challenges frequently encountered by adolescents in this developmental phase and facilitate their growth into healthy, compassionate adults. Much research has been done on self-compassion, a skill that is foundational to the Umbrella Project. Self-compassion is built on the principles of reducing over-identification with your personal story and instead feeling a sense of common humanity and an understanding that everyone experiences difficulties, makes mistakes, and will inevitably have rain in their lives. This is not unique to the individual, but part of the human experience. This belief has been shown to have broad-reaching implications on well-being in youth, including improved body image, stigma resilience, post-traumatic resilience, risk for self-harm, and other significant well-being markers. The Umbrella Paradigm provides a metaphor to help students of all ages understand this significant principle. Participants in the study appeared to gain a better understanding of their own emotions, become more conscious of the emotions of themselves and others, and became more aware and attentive to details in their environments. These results are consistent with previous research suggesting that important emotional and social competencies can be taught and developed in various age groups. We know from our own research and from large meta-analyses of social and emotional learning programs that we can teach and develop social and emotional competencies in many different age groups. We can also evaluate the current state of development of a child's umbrella skills and understand which skills require more focus for better well-being outcomes. When we review the research-based outcomes of each of these skills, we find that they lead to similar improvements in well-being and achievement. For example, if we look at the outcome of academic achievement specifically, we see that many of the umbrella skills have a similar positive impact on this goal. There was a positive relationship between grit, engagement, and academic productivity. Further analysis revealed that engagement mediated the relationship between grit and productivity, suggesting that a person with higher grit is more likely to have a higher engagement and that engagement leads to greater academic productivity. These findings highlight the relevance of grit as a desirable student characteristic and the importance of engagement in the grit-productivity relationship. The framing of well-being as modifiable skills improves participant engagement in programming targeted at building these skills, which makes sense. Students are more likely to participate in well-being programs if they see their well-being as something that they can improve instead of a fixed variable. Learning to cope with manageable threats is critical for the development of resilience. Protective experiences and coping skills on one side counterbalance significant adversity on the other. Resilience is evident when a child's health and development tips towards positive outcomes, even when a heavy load of factors is stacked on the negative outcome side. This can be done by building a sense of self-efficacy and perceived control and providing opportunities to strengthen adaptive skills and self-regulatory capacities. Over time, the cumulative impact of positive life experiences and coping skills can shift the fulcrum's position, making it easier to achieve positive outcomes. According to a U.S. Department of Education report on grit, persevering in the face of challenges or setbacks to accomplish goals that are extrinsically motivated, unimportant to the student, or in some way inappropriate for the student, may potentially induce stress, anxiety, and distraction, and have detrimental impacts on students' long-term retention, conceptual learning, and psychological well-being. We can see from this example that grit without intrinsic motivation can have the opposite of the desired effect on well-being. These skills do not exist in isolation, and while they all have a role to play, they balance out each other's downsides and create a more balanced well-being. There is a wealth of research demonstrating the impact of healthy lifestyle choices, including sleep, nutrition, and screen time on children's mental health. For example, children with disrupted sleep patterns show lower neurobehavioral functioning, especially related to complex tasks, as well as increased behavioral problems. This is just one example among many demonstrating the impact of lifestyle on the ability to use the umbrella skills, regulate mood, and succeed both socially and academically. A challenge state may be fostered by increasing the actual or evaluated resources of the individual. Tasks should be framed in a manner consistent with challenge, as this has the potential to lead to performance facilitation and more favorable responses. Prior to a child performing a task, they evaluate whether they possess the necessary resources to cope effectively with the demands of that situation. When that child evaluates that they have sufficient resources to meet the demands of the task, a challenge state occurs. In contrast, when they evaluate that they do not have the resources required to meet the demands of the task, a threat state develops. These evaluations can occur consciously, but are predominantly automatic, with an individual arriving at a challenge or threat state without any awareness of the evaluation process. By building the umbrella skills, we can increase the evaluated resources of students and help them shift their perception from a threat state into a challenge state, helping them actively take on challenges instead of perceiving those situations as threats and avoiding them. Our community and relationships play a huge role in our well-being. As we grow up, the people we spend time with can impact everything from our moods to our marks. In addition, the longest longitudinal study on well-being ever done shows that as we age, the happiest, healthiest people report strong interpersonal relationships as the biggest predictor of their well-being, while those who were isolated had declines in mental and physical health as they aged. We can help others to use their umbrella skills just by using them ourselves. For example, being kind can inspire others to do the same, spreading this kindness throughout our networks and beyond. Observing others using resilience is also a great way to build this critical skill.